This week's School for Writers book recommendation is The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. I chose this book this week because I just shared the story of my brother's cancer and death. And during that period of my life, even still to this day, I carried so much grief that it felt like I wasn't able to be loved. It was difficult for me to hold that kind of emotions. I couldn't imagine someone else wanting to willingly come into that fray. And the Heart Principle deals with this. Helen Hoang felt grief herself and understood what it was like to be a caretaker. In the Heart Principle, she deals with what it means to have the pressure of being somebody who's caring for somebody as they're dying. And I've never read a romance novel that deals with that. I've never read somebody write through feeling worthy of love as they're watching somebody die. Some of the things that Helen Hoang brings up in this just hit me at my core, and I really related to as somebody who was caring for a family member as they died, and they felt completely in over their head. Now, as in all of her other books, the main character is an autistic woman who is of Asian descent, which is Helen Hoang as well, so that is Own Voices. And I just think that it's really beautiful to see neurodiverse characters find love in general, but the neurodiverse characters going through really hard depressive stuff, amazing. You know, my only complaint about this book is that I feel like the guy's almost too good to be true. Like, would somebody really love somebody through this? Which is such a messed up thing to have a complaint about a book. I'm like, oh, it seems unrealistic because the guy is actually a decent human being. So, you know, that's the character. And I feel like they fell really quickly for each other. I wanted to see a little bit more character development, but tragedy hit really early on, and that's how they connected. I love Helen Hoang's books for how they help show neurodiversity, how they deal with harder topics. You know, there's sex workers in some of them. There's, people moving and immigration in another one. Helen deals with some really amazing, deep topics that I love to talk about, and she deals with them in a really accessible way. Romance. This is one of the reasons I love all of Helen Hoang's book. Her most famous one is The Kiss Quotient, which you might have all heard of if you're romance readers, but The Heart Principle hit me even more than any of those because I saw myself in the character as she cared for a sick loved one. Now, this is not a book if you're looking for like all light, sweet, happy. There is still a happily ever after. It is a romance novel after all, but more than it being about romance, it's about grief and heartache and family. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful book to read if you're feeling like you're the only one out there who's ever felt unlovable because you're going through some hard shit. So that is why I'm recommending The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang this week. You can get it through bookshop.org, the link in our bio, which helps support an independent bookstore and supports the School for Writers podcast. If you're more of an audiobook person, you can use the libro.fm link below that gets you a free audiobook and us a free audiobook so I can listen to books and recommend them here for you. So once again, this week's book recommendation is The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang, a beautiful book about grieving and love. Grab yourself a copy today at an independent bookstore using one of the links below in our bio. Happy reading!